Pay attention to the young woman in the navy blue jacket. Her name is Elena Rodriguez. She is heading to what she believes is a job interview that will help her earn enough money for nursing school. Now, observe the man walking beside her toward the parking garage. His name is Ryan Mitchell. He is the one who created the fraudulent job posting online. Within 45 minutes, her cell phone would go silent permanently. This was not an interview. It was a kidnapping. At 9:30 p.m. on October 12th, 3 hours after Elena Rodriguez was expected home, her older brother Miguel made the first of numerous attempts to reach his sister's phone. Every call went straight to voicemail. The anxiety that had been building throughout the evening escalated into an official report to the Phoenix Police Department just after 11 p.m. The duty officer recorded the information. A 19-year-old female, no history of disappearing, last seen going to a job interview in Scottsdale. To law enforcement, the billed half preliminary details suggested a common scenario for someone her age, and the case was initially processed as a possible runaway situation. But this official designation contradicted everything about who Elena Rodriguez truly was. Raised in South Phoenix in the Maryvale neighborhood, she was the anchor in a struggling household. While her father worked double shifts at a construction company and her mother cleaned office buildings at night, Elena managed the household and helped care for her two younger siblings. She was known as dependable and focused, a recent community college graduate who worked evenings at a local clinic as a medical assistant. Her goal was clear: save enough for tuition at Arizona State University's nursing program. Her LinkedIn profile wasn't for networking. It was a showcase of her volunteer work at free health clinics, evidence of her dedication. Her family and friends were certain she would never simply vanish. While police processed the initial report, Elena's roommate and best friend, Sophia, launched her own investigation, sharing Elena's photo across social media platforms and contacting anyone who might have information. Her brother insisted to the responding officers that Elena was not a runaway. She was methodical, ambitious, someone who was building toward her dreams. She had an interview with a company called Premier Health Staffing. She had an address, she had a contact name. But investigators would soon learn that this first lead was actually the foundation of an elaborate deception. The man, who identified himself as Michael, was a fabrication constructed from digital lies. The job posting Elena Rodriguez discovered in mid-September on LinkedIn was his carefully crafted trap, titled Medical Administrative Coordinator. The listing for Premier Health Staffing used industry-specific terminology, offered an attractive salary of $25 per hour, and provided what appeared to be a legitimate Scottsdale medical complex address. It was specifically designed to appeal to ambitious healthcare workers like Elena. When she submitted her application, including her resume highlighting her clinic experience, Michael's response was immediate and professional. Their email exchanges, later retrieved from Elena's account, revealed a series of seemingly normal interactions. Michael conducted an initial phone screening, asking appropriate questions about her medical background and career aspirations. He spoke knowledgeably about healthcare staffing challenges and industry growth. He established credibility through each digital interaction. When scheduling the face-to-face interview, he had a plausible explanation for the unusual meeting location. Their primary office was being renovated for new medical equipment, so they would meet at a temporary location in a Tempe business park. He provided the address and offered to meet her at a nearby coffee shop, explaining that the temporary office was difficult to locate in the complex. Only after her disappearance did investigators begin unraveling this fabrication. They discovered that Premier Health Staffing had no business license, no staff, and no contracts. The professional website Sophia found was a digital facade created just weeks before. The Tempe Business Park had no record of the company ever leasing space. The entire scheme was a meticulously planned snare. Police would later learn that Elena was not the first woman Michael had targeted with this approach, but she was the first who hadn't escaped. On the afternoon of October 12th, Elena Rodriguez followed the directions Ryan Mitchell had provided. She took the light rail from her neighborhood to Tempe Town Lake Station, then walked to the Starbucks where Mitchell had arranged to meet her. At approximately 3:15 p.m., security cameras from the adjacent shopping center captured Mitchell's silver Honda Accord arriving at the location. Minutes later, the footage showed him and Elena walking together toward the parking structure. It would be the final time any surveillance system recorded her presence. Her brother expected her home by 7 p.m. By 9:30 p.m., when repeated calls went unanswered, panic began to set in. He contacted the Phoenix Police Department and filed a missing persons report. The department initially categorized the case based on standard protocols for someone Elena's age and the absence of obvious criminal activity. Elena Rodriguez, 19, was officially classified as a potential runaway. This procedural classification, though routine, created a crucial delay in the investigation's intensity. Meanwhile, Elena's digital presence had abruptly ceased. Cell phone records would later reveal that her device was turned off or destroyed at 3:52 p.m., just 37 minutes after she was captured on camera with Mitchell. In that brief window of time, somewhere near that Tempe parking structure, she had completely disappeared. While her family urged authorities to investigate the job interview as a potential clue, the official case file remained in a standard missing person queue, awaiting evidence to prove Elena hadn't simply left voluntarily. The runaway hypothesis crumbled when Elena's digital communications were discovered not by police, but by her determined roommate, Sophia. Desperately seeking answers, Sophia accessed Elena's email and social media accounts, uncovering the complete record of her correspondence with Michael. She immediately provided this information to detectives. This gave the investigation its first concrete leads: the company name, email address, and phone number used by the suspect. Investigators quickly validated what Sophia and Elena's family already knew. A search of state business databases confirmed that Premier Health Staffing was fictitious. The associated website had been registered just weeks earlier through a service that concealed the owner's identity. When police tracked the phone number Michael had used, it traced to a prepaid device activated shortly before his initial contact with Elena and deactivated immediately after her disappearance. It was a digital dead end, intentionally designed to be untraceable. The breakthrough came from the email account. While the account itself was anonymous, the IP address, a digital fingerprint showing the computer's location, was not. Cybercrime specialists traced Michael's emails to a public library in Tucson, Arizona. This expanded the investigation's geographic scope significantly. Detectives obtained security recordings from the library and identified a man matching the description from the Tempe footage using the public computers on several occasions. They now had a clearer image of their suspect, but still no identity. The discovery also revealed a disturbing pattern. Investigators found similar fraudulent job postings in Albuquerque and Las Vegas, all using identical methods. They were no longer searching for one missing woman. They were pursuing a serial predator. While the digital evidence pointed investigators toward Tucson, the most crucial clue emerged from the physical world: the Tempe parking structure. Detectives systematically analyzed hours of security footage from multiple cameras, searching for the vehicle used by the suspect. They located it, a well-maintained silver Honda Accord. Though Mitchell had parked away from the main camera's view, an alternate angle captured his license plate as he exited the structure. A search through the National Vehicle Registration Database provided the identity they had been seeking. The vehicle was registered to Ryan Mitchell of Portland, Oregon. The name was initially meaningless to Chicago investigators. A background investigation revealed a man with no criminal record. He was 36 years old, worked in supply chain management, was married, and had twin teenage sons. On paper, he appeared to be a typical suburban professional, completely removed from the criminal underworld of abduction and human trafficking. He was the least likely suspect imaginable. When the FBI and Portland Police Department interviewed Mitchell's wife, the veneer of his secret life began to crack. She was completely shocked. She confirmed that her husband was currently traveling in the Southwest for what she understood were legitimate consulting projects in logistics. His business trips had increased over the past year, she noted, but she had seen no reason for concern. He was, in her perception, a devoted husband and father. With her testimony, the investigation now had a definite target. The digital phantom from the Tucson library and the man in the Tempe footage had a name, a family, and a home address. The search was no longer for a shadow. It was for Ryan Mitchell. In mid-December, the investigation reached its climax in the quiet suburbs of Lake Oswego, Oregon. Federal agents and local police apprehended David Chen at his family residence without resistance. The man they arrested seemed completely disconnected from the predator. They had been hunting a suburban father whose neighbors knew him only as a reserved family man. Investigators anticipated discovering evidence of a trafficking operation. Instead, during his interrogation, Chen provided a confession that completely reframed the case narrative. He did not deny his involvement in Elena Rodriguez's disappearance. However, he claimed he was not a voluntary participant but a manipulated victim in a much larger criminal network. Chen revealed that several years earlier, a devastating addiction to online gambling had left him owing $120,000 to a man named Vincent Russo, a dangerous figure who operated between Las Vegas and Phoenix. When Chen couldn't repay the debt, Russo presented an alternative. The debt would be erased if he agreed to recruit young women for Russo's trafficking enterprise. His role was to develop the fake identities, earn their trust, and deliver them to specified locations. Chen insisted to detectives that he had attempted to withdraw from the arrangement, but Russo had made it explicit that refusing to cooperate would result in harm to his wife and twin sons. He claimed he had only delivered Elena because his own family's safety was directly threatened. To substantiate his account, and in a desperate attempt to secure leniency, he provided investigators with the crucial information they needed to expose the entire operation: the address of an abandoned mining facility outside Flagstaff, Arizona. He told them it was the primary base for Russo's entire enterprise. Based on information from David Chen, a joint task force of FBI agents in the Flagstaff Police Department organized a coordinated raid. The target was the abandoned copper mine facility outside the city, a vast, deteriorating complex that was a remnant of Arizona's mining history. In early January, tactical teams surrounded the location. They breached the facility and discovered a fully operational human trafficking center concealed within the abandoned mine structures. The conditions were horrific, designed for imprisonment. Inside, law enforcement found and liberated 9 young women, aged 18 to 25, from various cities across the Southwest, all deceived by similar false promises. The discovery represented a significant victory for the task force, confirming Chen's testimony about Vincent Russo's criminal network and resulting in the immediate rescue of multiple victims. The rescued women were transported to a secure facility for medical treatment and interviews with victim advocates. But for the investigators focused on the case that initiated everything, the raid concluded in disappointment. As they accounted for each rescued woman, the harsh reality became apparent. Elena Rodriguez was not among them. The news devastated her family, eliminating their last hope that she might be found alive. The raid had successfully destroyed the dangerous trafficking network, but it had also transformed a missing person case into a likely homicide investigation. The question was no longer whether Elena had been taken, but what had happened to her after David Chen drove away from that parking structure. With Elena Rodriguez still missing, the full force of the federal investigation focused on the men captured in the Flagstaff mine raid. Chen's confession had exposed the trafficking ring, but he didn't know Elena's ultimate fate. Investigators began systematic interrogations of Vincent Russo and his associates, using the threat of life imprisonment to break their silence. Under relentless pressure, one of Russo's top lieutenants finally broke. His account destroyed any hope that Elena might have survived. He revealed that the plan had failed catastrophically from the start. When Elena entered David Chen's car in the Tempe parking structure, she quickly understood that the situation was dangerous. She resisted with fierce determination. In the bassoed, violent confrontation that occurred inside the vehicle, Elena was fatally injured. The lieutenant explained that Chen, who had never intended for violence to occur, immediately contacted Russo for guidance. Russo, showing complete callousness, simply sent another crew member to the scene to clean up the situation. Elena Rodriguez was murdered in or near that parking structure on the afternoon of October 12. The confession provided the tragic details of her disappearance, confirming she had been killed within minutes of being abducted, but it left one final devastating question unanswered for both the investigators and her mourning family. Where was her body? Following the detailed confession from Vincent Russo's lieutenant, authorities initiated a search in mid-January. The search location was an isolated area of desert terrain off Interstate 17, north of Black Canyon City, Arizona. It was there, nearly 4 months after she vanished from the Tempe parking structure, that investigators discovered the remains of Elena Rodriguez. The medical examiner determined the cause of death to be severe head trauma and asphyxiation, confirming the violent struggle described by the informant. She had been abandoned there since the day of her abduction. The case that began with a missing person report concluded with the complete destruction of a multi-state trafficking network. David Chen, the man who had presented himself as a business professional, was charged with kidnapping, resulting in death and conspiracy. His cooperation protected him from a potential death sentence, but he was sentenced to life imprisonment without possibility of parole. Vincent Russo, the network leader who exploited Chen's desperation, was arrested in Las Vegas and also received a life sentence. 6 other men connected to the operation were convicted on various federal charges, effectively eliminating the entire criminal organization.